it's impossible for anyone to see what's happened to either Blastoise or Charizard. There they are! Having been thrown together, Charizard and Blastoise are locked in close-range, hand-to-hand combat.
Charizard, don't give in!
My seismic toss once again!
Use Dragon Rage! Dodge it, quick!
But the Strickland corner wants him to pick it up. They think that he can actually drown Drake is now that we're getting into the championship round.
This is week 2 of Middleweight Madness. Lots more middleweight scrambles to come. What sort of middleweight implications are we going to have now? Lots, I think. But, so, we'll go over main event and all the other fights on the main card except the co-main event. The co-main event gets a special video. What about this card? What is going on with UFC 312? We're heading to Australia. A lot of people are complaining about this card. They're like, ew, I don't know anybody, and who is this, and why is somebody from the Contender Series on the main card? And I kind of agree. But still got a lot of interesting fights to go over. The theme of this card can be split into 5. I would say number 1, 2 champs versus their number 1 contenders, and then no other top 15s. Number 2, lots and lots of injuries, most relevantly Tatiana Suarez coming back from blowing the fuck out of her knee. Are we dealing with ring rust? Number 3, revenge of the split decision. Obviously, that applies to Strickland and DDP, with the split decision loss being their first meeting. And we have an undefeated versus a never submitted, again, co-main event. Because these are dynamic picks, please give me your thoughts. Get your tail out of here. These are dynamic picks, so we're going with vibes and what resources we have, but ultimately vibes. It's all love and vibes. That's why it's a unicorn. Dricus du Plessis is someone who is very good, yes, and we know this, but he's very odd, and we also know that. And what I feel I've observed is he's basically like Blastoise and Gary combined into one, because, you know, Gary is really good if you know anything about Pokemon. He's Ash's biggest rival, so he's good. You know, Ash is the guy who everybody wants to win, but nobody's really rooting for him because he's not Ash. But there's literally nothing that he does wrong, per se. He's not exactly a villain. He's not Team Rocket, but people just aren't rooting for this guy to win. But, you know, he keeps proving people wrong. But he will always, I feel, be the heel of the story. And he's undefeated in the UFC. Not undefeated in his career in totality, but in the UFC, he's undefeated. So he's proven himself. He can absolutely take damage. And he's pretty much absorbing what he throws, which is problematic. Some of people's issues with his style, actually, is because he's taking so much damage and just, like, going in, like, just, what is, like, going in like that, basically? I don't know what that is, but that's the DDP. And he's handsome and he's never had a job. So that's an interesting fact. This is his life. And then we have his challenger, Sean Strickland. Oh my. Talk about proving yourself. I mean, he's been a pro since 2008. When he was 16, if you need to do the math there, remember that. That's a little intense. He's won 10 of his last 13. That's amazing. And really, as we know, or maybe we don't know, his only form of training pretty much that he does is sparring. That's how much like he lives and breathes the fight. And where we have Gary and Blastoise on one side, we have Ash and his Charizard on the other. But maybe he should use a little bit more seismic toss like Charizard has. I edited the thing in the beginning though, so it looks like it's the other way around, but whatever, don't pay attention to that. He is a brown belt in BJJ, apparently, so, but more so he's an elite counter striker. That's what people really know Sean Strickland for, as he is an amazing striker, and specifically his ability to work and control the space and stay composed. So, and he's training at Extreme Couture, which is, we love Randy Couture and the Extreme Couture family. And he's also handsome. So, 2 handsome princes against each other. for the second time. So this is number 2. This is revenge of the split decision. So I personally felt that in the first time they met that it did go to DDP. I think just mixing it up a little bit, throwing in the takedowns, and having that just that little tiny little bit of extra control time as well. But clearly it's both in their arsenal to win. Clearly on any given night, something I say a lot, one of them could become victorious, and ultimately I think it comes down to who's going to hone in their skills more. So is Sean Strickland really going to put on the gas and mow down DDP and not give him any space to come and do his blitz, blitz before he blitzes, basically? Or is he going to be a little bit more composed? He issued that little pact to stand and strike, which, just could be him saying things, or it could be an admission of not feeling like he can control the space. I know that he can, but will he is the question. Will Sean Strickland control the space? That is ultimately the thing, because unlike in Pokemon, where Pokemon fight until they can't continue, essentially to the death, till a knockout. In Pokemon, you go till somebody faints, right? And if that were the case, I do think most people would pick Sean Strickland, because by the end of their first meeting, DDP's mouth was wide open. I mean, he was gasping, and it appeared that Sean had hardly tired at all. So, fight to the death. Charizard might be the winner there, as Charizard is the winner, in the Pokemon series, because we can't let Gary win. But this is reality, okay? And in reality, in the real universe, sometimes Gary wins, as he did the first time. So will he win this time? I kind of think, well, what do I think? What do I think? I think yes. I think that DDP is going to win. I think he's going to win. I think it'll be close. I think it's very dependent on how cautious Sean is, that if he just puts on the gas pedal, he has the potential. But also at the same time, DDP's improved, and he handed Israel Adesanya his first ever submission loss. Things have been looking really good for DDP. They've been looking good for both of them, but I think that he's my dynamic pick. The thing is, it's kind of interesting. How is it that people still aren't rooting for DDP, and he's going against Sean Strickland, who in many ways has some unlikable characteristics? I know we love him because he's says what's on his mind, but some of the things that he says on his mind are kind of, But I love them both. I think it's going to be great. Let's go over some of the other fights real quick. So, first fight on the main card, Jake Matthews, Australian. Got to have that Aussie representation, of course, as that's where we are. He's a UFC veteran at the young age of 30 with his debut in 2014. Been here 10 years. He's got some cool tattoos. His dad's his hero and his head coach. He's a very defensive fighter, and his wins are pretty evenly split between TKOs and submissions. And he's got a pretty significant win over the Leech. But his last loss was decision to Michael Morales, who, if you know Michael Morales, he's on a major TKO tear. So, and he made it to decision with that guy who's not going to be allowed. So that's a really good sign. Jake Matthews, you've definitely seen him before if you're a fan of the sport. And he's going against Francisco Prado, who, looks up to Santiago Ponzinibbio. That's his hero. He wants to finish you. He doesn't believe in takedowns. He's a black belt in Taekwondo, so that's really what he's going to go for. And he prefers to stand. Had a bit of a year off, and this is his 4th UFC appearance. And based on this information alone and how little I know about these people, I'm going to say Jake Matthews, who I do know and who I have seen before, and I feel his defensive fighting style will serve him well, and mostly his experience. So, Jake. Jimmy Crute, who's on a 3-fight losing streak. Time for a win. He's also on a big layoff because of injury. He's faced some legends, though. That's why you probably know who Jimmy Crute is. He's lost. He's conquered. He stands on business. He's attractive. And he's a BJJ black belt. All relevant statistics, if you ask me. versus Rodolfo Bellato, who's got a high striking accuracy, second UFC appearance. This is definitely his biggest test. He's a contender series redemption man. What do I mean by that? Well, had one shot, didn't work out, came back, and it worked out. He's also coming off of a big layoff. I mean, like, this card is riddled with injuries. This card is literally just the test of the injuries, all the way up to the co-main event. He's a replacement fighter, so... And if you want to see some interesting footage of him surviving and coming back to life, check out UFC Austin in 2023. And he learned to fight bullies. Coming in at a 12-2 record. Oh my gosh. Again, this is why these are dynamic picks. That's why there's a vibes warning. I have a vibes warning over Jimmy Crute because don't put money on this. Don't. Maybe don't bet in general. Just bet spiritually. So that the only thing that gets sad is you and not your wallet. But this is a vibes. This is a vibes pick. Because Jimmy's back. I'm happy. I'm happy Jimmy is back. Hello, Jimmy. My cat's name is Jimmy, too. Okay. Moving on. Tafa. You know the Tafa brothers. Well, as usual, the UFC is just trying to set them up to fail. But what does the UFC know? More than me, oftentimes. Justin basically, if it's going to be a win, it's going to be a knockout. Because if you pull this guy to decisions, it's not going to work out. He's going to get tired. So basically, if it goes to decision, you can bank on him not winning. He's very averse to takedowns. And 2 canceled fights and 1 loss in 2024 because of also major injuries. So, fingers crossed. My hearts go out to everybody who's injured to have as safe a fight as they can. Justin Tafa's willing to stand on business, though. That's the thing. He's not scared, as you can't be. And he's going against Taliesin Teixeira, which, do you know who this is? You're lying. You don't. He's from the Contender Series, and this is his UFC debut. He's making his way in the world of MMA with a, undefeated record of 7-0. He's huge. He's like 6'7" feet tall, and also withdrew in November due to an injury. Hello? Did we just... What is this? Is this the injured discount bin? Okay, that's so mean. Everyone here is really, really talented, but it feels like they just picked a bunch of injured people and were like, let's just test all their injuries out. So Justin Tafa versus tall Teixeira. Is that funny? Because he's tall. Okay. Vibes. I should have put a vibes warning on this one too because I can't go against the Tafa brothers. Okay? I don't even know who this man is. He might be an amazing prospect. He might be the next big thing. I don't know who he is though. Thank you. That's it. So, just going to go over the main card there and the main event, separating the co-main event into a different video just because there's a bit of a story there that I find particularly interesting, and it takes more than 10 minutes to talk about. I don't want this to be 30 minutes long. So, there you go. We have 2 champions going against the number 1, and then a bunch of people who aren't even in the top 15. It'll be a night. It will be a night. Is this a throwaway card? No. That's pretty mean. Just the 2 main fights alone are very historical, very worth it. They make up for any potential lackings on the rest of the card. However, I do find it a little interesting, the rest of the card setup. And having someone's UFC debut on the main card. I'm very confused by that. But it's a business, not a perfect system. So, this is my gang symbol for middleweight madness. Is that already something? Let me know. How about this? What about, wait, this way. No, this way. This way or this way? Which one's more gangy? I need to paint my nails. What color? What color should I paint my nails? Let me know.
Seismic toss once again.